Hey everyone, welcome back to another Vapor Home Technologies video. Today we are going to be covering how to get the absolute best finish out of your sandblasting cabinet. Now we're going to be using these pistons here. These came out of our Ford V6 engine, I believe. We're never going to be using these things again. They are actually a pretty good demonstration of what a sandblasting cabinet can achieve because you've got carbon buildup on the top. You've got a lot of oil staining that you're going to be dealing with. Any automotive part on the skirts and whatnot. Going to be a very good demonstration of what your sandblasting cabinet can achieve. And again, today we're going to be discussing how to get the best finish out of it. All right, so the best thing you can do to help your end result when it comes to sandblasting actually has nothing to do with the cabinet itself and everything to do with the prep work beforehand. So we'll go ahead and put up a little bit of B-roll of what a small bit of parts washing can do beforehand. Now, if you're blasting something like a CNC machine part, you're probably not gonna have to do any sort of parts washing beforehand, but if you have any sort of automotive piece that has grease or grime buildup on that surface, you absolutely are gonna wanna remove that just so that you can get the best surface finish possible, because any contaminant that's on the surface that is oily is going to stop that impact that your sandblasting cabinet is trying to enact on this part to remove anything past surface level. Also, another thing that you've got to think about is your abrasive lifespan. So if you are putting a lot of oil inside your cabinet, it's going to cause that abrasive to clump. That's going to affect your feeding. It's also going to increase the wear of that abrasive. Removing all that beforehand and keeping your cabinet cleaner will provide you with a better result. So now that you have a clean part that's actually ready to be sandblasted, we're gonna move on to things that can affect the finish with the machine as well as your consumables. Now with your consumables, you're gonna wanna make sure that you are using an abrasive that's meant to polish, if that's what you're trying to do. And if you're trying to strip something or leave it with a very rough finish, you're gonna wanna make sure you're using something like an aluminum oxide. Today we're using glass bead to do this. Now, when it comes to your actual media wear down, it depends on how much force you're actually applying to this abrasive, meaning how much pressure you're putting behind it. That can lead to faster wear down. It also depends on the type of material that you are blasting. So if it's a harder material, it's going to wear down faster. Now, one thing you can do to tell you whenever your media is actually wearing down is have a reclaimer. Now, we absolutely suggest this if you are doing any sort of industrial process where you have to meet a certain spec or requirement, because what this does is you can essentially think of it as a high-speed sorter. So as you're blasting, it's bringing that abrasive in. If it's reusable abrasive, it gets dropped back down into the bottom in your hopper. That gets supplied back to the blasting gun. If it's broken down abrasive that should not be used again, it gets pulled into the dust collector. That way you can dispose of it properly. Now, on the other side of this, I do want to talk about the dust collector really quickly, because what this allows you to do is as you're blasting, it pulls all of that abrasive and dust that's being generated by the sandblasting process out. That way you have good visibility and you can validate that you are doing good work on your part. Now, another thing I want to talk about before you actually get started blasting, this isn't so much a problem with web blasting, but with sandblasting, you want to make sure you're starting at a lower pressure. That way you do not damage your part, especially if you're working with a softer material like aluminum and you're not certain what your abrasive is going to do to that part. So we're going to be starting around 50 static PSI. Now you have static and working pressure. Working is when you actually hit the foot pedal, and in most cases you're going to drop 5-10 PSI whenever you actually start. So again, we're starting at 50 static PSI right now. Now inside the actual blasting chamber here, with sandblasting, a big thing that can happen is hot spotting. And what that means is you've allowed the blast gun to stay in one part of your surface longer than the other. So you always want to make sure you are blasting in strips like this. And you also don't want to be too close. A lot of times people think that if you're getting closer to the part, you're enacting more work on it. You are, but again, that also leads to hot spotting quickly. So you want to make sure you're blasting probably 3 to 4 inches from the part, even in some cases as far back as 6 inches from the part. I normally like to work at a 45-degree angle rather than directly on. That way the particles that are hitting can make their way off the surface. So again, 45-degree angle, and think about it almost like you're mowing your grass. You always want to do it in strips. You don't want to be running back over the same strip over and over and over again. So again, consistently working your way over the part. Don't delay too long or you can cause hot spotting. So if that's not a true testament to what sandblasting is capable of doing, I don't know what is. You guys can see what we started with here. This probably took us in total, what do you think, 2 minutes, I'd say? Yeah, it was no time at all. Again, I kind of went back over, did some quick movement passes just to try and smooth out all of the polishing that we had done. I think this turned out phenomenal, especially looking at the starting point. So again, a few things you guys want to keep into consideration whenever you're trying to get the best surface finish possible. First of all is the use of your media. You want to make sure that you have fresh abrasive that's not broken down. Again, a way to verify that is by using a reclaimer. You also want to make sure that you have good visibility inside of your cabinet. Dust collector is a great option. The biggest thing is the actual starting point of your material or part itself. So you want to make sure that it's not pitted. It's just going to show up even after you're finished, but also that you have as much of the gunk on the surface removed as possible whenever you start. That's again, it's going to extend the lifespan of your abrasive, and it's also going to leave you with a better looking part. Besides that, you want to make sure that you're doing consistent passes over the surface. You're going to want to make sure that you are not getting too close to the part. That way you do not hot spot. And besides that, it's about as easy as it gets. It's literally just point and go. If you guys have any further questions, please leave them in the comments below. I know this was kind of a quick video, but it's truly easy to get up and running with sandblasting, as you guys saw, and you can immediately see the results that you're having when you're actually blasting the parts. So again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Check out the rest of our YouTube channel. We post information daily, not just limited to sandblasting, but also hydroblasting and wet blasting alike. And if you are actually ready to get one of these machines in your shop today and start getting results just like this, you can check out our website at vaporhoneytechnologies.com, or again, call us at 828-202-5563. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.